we are going to focus on content plays, and we'd like to think about this as the autoplay to educate your customers. So what is it in general? It is a multi-step way to deliver content in a very engaging and personalized way to your account. And I'm saying content, and we'll touch on that a lot. We know that that the expectations from customers are high, and they're just getting higher and higher for their vendors to become their trusted advisors. And really, the role of the sales team is transforming from selling or persuading to more kind of educating customers. This is a highly scalable automation to allow you to educate your customers with a few presses of a button, and I'll show you a demo a little bit later. Just to touch a little bit more on what does that mean to be an educator or consultant to your customers. We're seeing this in a lot of research, and we know that consultative selling is essentially the method to really build relationship with your customers. But at times, sales teams need the help of marketing in order to deliver high-quality content and be able to bring kind of the latest and greatest in market education to customers. However, this needs to be delivered to the account in context. There's nothing more disappointing than getting content marketing campaigns that are irrelevant to me, or getting top of the funnel information where I'm in a very advanced stage of the selling process. And I think that's really what breaks the relationship with your salesperson. What we're introducing here is the ability to, through that autoplay, as I mentioned earlier, to deliver content that is specific to an account, that is delivered to the specific stage that the account is in, and really puts the bar very high on the type of content that is delivered. And we know that those salespeople or those vendors that really think about education and consulting their customers, these are the ones that really win in a meaningful way, in a big way. A few of the value propositions of the new feature. So auto nurturing. Essentially, salespeople can deliver account-specific nurturing, and they can customize that on the fly. So that could be specific to a customer situation. And Justin will talk a little bit later about different use cases. What does that mean in context and in customize on the fly? Building relationship, really sustainable relationship is built through those education processes. And it doesn't stop at the initial sale. It's actually just the beginning of the journey. We need to continue and educate our customers as we grow with them and as we prepare for upsell, cross-sale, renewals, and so on and so forth. And we have to make it very, very specific. Now, we're offering two ways of delivering those campaigns. Could be by the sellers themselves, which could be very contextual to what they're trying to achieve with that account specifically, or it could be on behalf of sellers by marketing. And that's a very powerful concept. And when I talk on behalf of sellers, I mean from their mailbox. So it's truly delivered through the mailbox of the sellers with their identity on the campaign itself, on the board, on the content board. So it's fully authentic coming from the salesperson, but it's powered by marketing. And I'll show you some of the scale you can get to. It's very, very impressive. A few of the kind of core elements of the content play. So this is one of the things that is a foundational, I would say, ideology for us is to design everything very simple to use. And you can see a screen here that shows how you design a content play. So clearly you can design the frequency that you'll want to deliver the content play, which is essentially a set of emails. You can define what's the exit criteria. You can define either use the template created by marketing or customize it on the fly. And every board essentially can be transformed into a content play very easily. The whole experience is drag and drop experience, very easy to do. I'll jump to a demo in a minute, but before talking about that, I want to talk about scale for a minute. So you may be familiar with this diagram. We've shown it really as the foundational concept around how do you operate a large-scale ABM program. So in this case, you have a campaign manager that is initiating the campaign. You can see that this campaign manager can deliver campaign on behalf of multiple different sales reps, and we'll see an example today. And then each one of those sales reps on their behalf will be delivered a content play, a multi-step content play. So think about the power of this. This is two dimensions of automation. One, automation, you can do it on multiple sales reps that can reach out to hundreds and thousands of prospects. And also over time, you really build a cadence that touches those customers over time and deliver analytics back to the sellers as well as to the marketeers. So with that, I'd like to jump into a demo. And I had to pick and choose just a few elements of the feature. There's a lot to be shown, so I'm going to just show you like a simple example. So I'm going to play the role of Lori Anderson. Lori is a marketeer at a company called Equitier that delivers big data solutions. In this specific campaign, this board was designed to deliver a message around healthcare. So it's really around cost efficiency that big data can provide to healthcare. So this is already vertical-based board. You can see the information of Lori here that will be dynamically changed to the card of the seller that she's going to send the campaign on behalf. If you look at the resources, you'll see that a lot of them are really educational. So there's a TED presentation here. There is clinical reasons for patient return rate, and a lot of really thought leadership. But there's also, at some point, Equitier Overview, which is the company that we represent. I'm going to go to the back end of this board. This is how the back end of the board looks like. So some of you may be familiar with the different tabs here. This is the content tab that designs which content will be presented. And this is how you actually design the look and feel of the board. Here you can see the content play. This is where you would design the content play. So assume you already built the board. What you will do here is essentially you'll create a template for your sellers to use. I'm going to select just from a drop down of all the content that is in the board. I'm going to select here the thought leadership. The TED presentation is the first one, and I'm going to kind of look at the big trends, and then let's say I'm going to add here. Sorry about that. I'm going to add here maybe the clinical reasons, and right after that, I'm going to position Equitier. I'm going to put like a video of Equitier here. Once I've done that, I can define the frequency of that and also the exit criteria. So these are criteria that would essentially stop the content play from running. In this case, say if the person has viewed all items, I'm going to stop the content play. Although typically it's actually a good thing to reinforce and items even if they've been viewed before. I'm also going to activate this content play. That means that now I can use this template in a real campaign. So as you can see, very simple to build. It takes a few minutes, and I can also customize the emails that will go out for each and every step here. So let's say I'm going to change, and if you have any feedback. This is just an example. I'm going to save it back for step number 2. Once I've done that, I have the template. It's not a mandatory step, so but it's a pretty good step to do as a marketeer. And now I'm going to actually kick off a real campaign. And in this case, I'm going to essentially send a campaign. This shows you that you can send a campaign on your behalf or on behalf of the seller or multiple sellers. I'm going to start with a demo of how you send it on just by yourself. They help healthcare customers tier 1. And in this case, I can upload the list. And this list could come from a CSV file like the one I'm doing right now, as well as I can upload it from a marketing automation system or from CRM. So I've uploaded the list of prospects that I want to send it to. And then the second tab is where you can define that you can send a content play, a multi-step. And you can see that the template has been uploaded, but as a seller, I can say, you know what, I want to add one more item, or I want to replace this item with, say, the equity overview. I can do those changes on the fly. I can also change the exit criteria, and I can define that I want this to be sent, say, on Monday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific, and that's pretty much all I need to do, and send it out. So very easy to take advantage of a template, or I could start from a net new if I don't want to reuse the template created by marketing. And then when I send it out, now it's essentially sent through my own mailbox. Now that's an example of sending on my behalf. And now I can see in my campaign tab, I can see that now it's scheduled. This campaign is scheduled to go out to 4 invitees later on. I want to show you another quick example of how this is done on behalf of multiple sellers. I'm going to select send on behalf of multiple, and I'm going to upload the list again, but this time I'm going to upload the list that will also have sellers that are associated to each one of the accounts. So you can see that I have Sarah and Michael. There are 2 account executives here, and this is going to be sent on their behalf. So what I'll do now is I'll go back to the content play, and I'm going to send this on their behalf. And this becomes pretty powerful, because then now I'm sending it to, I think, how many? 15 recipients. I think there are over probably 7 or 8 accounts on behalf of 2 salespeople, and that's going to run for an entire month. So that really shows you the scale of it. Now, when you schedule a content play, you actually need to, you can define whether the salesperson is going to approve the content play once it's being sent. The process between marketing and sales is really critical for us, so we want to make sure that sales are on board. And for that, I'm going to show you how the salesperson would approve that. So this is kind of the list of campaigns. This is an example of a campaign that I need to approve as a seller. I'll get an email that will route me directly to the review screen, and I essentially get the same experience that you've seen. I can remove people. I can add other people. I can change. This is an example of a content board, but it's the same concept. I can change kind of the email and the steps, approve it, and it will be sent. So it's a really powerful process that connects between the marketeer that sends on behalf and makes the seller aware that a campaign is being sent out. And that's really important, especially with top-tier accounts, and you want to make sure that you're not sending things on top of the seller head. The sellers are the ones that are the gatekeepers in sending the campaign. Now, we do have different policies of approvals. So if this is more of a wide range campaign, you can choose a lesser strict approval case. Just to kind of complete the demo, this is where you can really track all the campaigns as a marketeer or as a seller. Each one of the roles will see their own relevant campaigns. And this is what we call the Pulse tab. This is where you can track essentially campaigns and see what were the actual results of the campaign. In this case, I'm looking at specific prospects and track specifically the John Persky. What are the items that they viewed, the board, and the other items. and also how long do they spend. Just one last point. As a prospect, when I get each one of the emails pointing to the content play, that will actually point me directly to the asset, but then I will be able, at that moment of attention, continue and consume more content. So it's not limiting me to one content asset, but to multiple ones. So once I have the attention of the prospect, I can almost deliver a whole journey of content. And it's really nice to build it first with educational content, and then as you progress to things that are a little bit more promotional. So with that, I'd like to kind of close the demo at this stage. If you're interested in more details, you're happy to reach out to our customer success team and get more information, run a demo with your specific board and how they look like. So going back, at this point, I'll hand it over to Justin to talk a little bit about customer cases as well as the use cases for using the ABM Content Plays.
Thanks, David. So now that David's kind of shown you how the new ABM Content Play functionality works, I just wanted to talk about how some of our customers are already starting to show success with these content plays to really drive increased engagement and increased revenue. So Folloze really is very agile and can activate a whole series of ABM use cases. Here's just an example 9 that we have here. The first one there is not now. So everybody has a prospect that you call into. They're perfect for you, but now is not the right time. This is a way you can keep them engaged over time, continue to educate them, and really increase their interest in the product for that moment when they are ready, you can reach back out. Next, you can start to broaden the stakeholders you're speaking to. So you've got a sales cycle in process with one key prospect, but you want to get to the broader committee. You can now send a content play board to that committee. And we all know most people will see one email and they'll discard it. When they see a second or a third email, that's when they start to gauge it, really get interested, and really start to create a conversation internally at that target company about your product. And then thirdly there, just staying on top of mind. Send this sequence of emails over. You can even send them weekly or monthly just to make sure that you're still inside somebody's head when the time is right for you to speak with them. And then finally, one key aspect here is educating your customers continuously. So you want to educate them while you're selling, again, both the people you're speaking with and the broader committee. Maybe educate them before a renewal, just highlight what are the key aspects and values that your company is bringing, or educate them on a new offering. So that's just a couple of broad use cases. Next, we can get into a couple of different specific customers. Here, this is a longtime customer of ours, AudioCodes. They design, manufacture, and sell voice over IP products, applications, and services. So this is really a top-of-mind use case. They sell to many of their customers through a reseller program, and most of those resellers resell many different products, so it's very important that those resellers think of your company first when they're thinking of a product or service to sell to their customers. So AudioCodes, they had one marketer focused on this program, and they created a ABM Content Play for their entire reseller sales team that included a weekly cadence to send different thought leadership materials and different materials specific to AudioCodes to their team. After the board was sent, you can see here at the top the different analytics they get from that board. They can see which items are getting viewed the most. They can also see how that's converting. So who has viewed the board next to who's viewed most of the content items, and then finally who has actually raised their hand and said, I'm interested in learning more. And the key here for AudioCodes is that they were able to increase their deal registration by 30%. So that's deals that partners registered that go directly into their sales pipeline. And then next I want to talk about a different large telecom customer that's really focused on an account coverage use case. So many times when we're in ABM, a particular salesperson has 30, 50, 100 accounts that they're selling into, and they need to be having a personal touch with each of those accounts. So that's where we get to a kind of a one-to-many sort of prospecting. So here we've got the marketing team, field marketer creating a campaign for 30 different salespeople to go out, and that goes out to their recipients as if the salesperson sent it to them. They use a predictive tool to define this list so they can see people that were likely to be engaged, a key element of ABM. And they included 3 different email touch points in their email cadence in their ABM Content Play. And then here, since it was an early prospecting account coverage campaign, we had this set up especially so that follow-ups would be routed to a telesales team. So they would perform reach outs if somebody viewed multiple pieces of content on the board or if they raised their hand and said they were interested. And this is a use case that we just enabled them for a few weeks ago. It's gone very well up to this point, but we're still key results to be announced shortly. So that was just a couple of customer stories. We hope folks on the call can help us develop a few more of these as we roll out the ABM Content Play. Really, ABM Content Plays is just another step in us extending the product into supercharging ABM campaigns. And that is because we make it all bound. It's both inbound and outbound. And it's auto-personalized both for the prospect, but also coming from your actual sales team. And that's one key element that we always want everyone to remember. This is literally coming from your salesperson's inbox. So it's different than a typical marketing email. So knowing all that, we know people say this lightly, but we actually mean this. Our customers have seen a 36% revenue growth on average when they start using Folloze for their ABM campaigns, and a 4x increase in their conversion of target accounts to customers. So that's, I think, all that we had for our presentation today, and we've got just a few minutes left for Q&A.
We'd like to open it up for questions. I see we already have a couple. For those of you who want to post questions, again, go ahead in the participant feedback section of the ReadyTalk console. The first question is from Jane. We are an enterprise company. How does this scale when you have hundreds of salespeople and many products?
I'll take that, Justin. I love this question because we actually designed the platform in a very robust and scalable way. So you can really think about this as powering hundreds of salespeople being sent to thousands of prospects with multi-touch campaign. We definitely support all that. The only limitation that we have is the mailbox. Some of the mailboxes are limited to typically 1,000 emails that go out every day, and that's more of a Gmail and Office 365 limitation. And we would essentially guide you to create that to obey that limitation. But other than that, we don't, on a platform level, we can scale to, it's actually was designed as a large enterprise solution. So I don't think that scale is going to be an issue.
Great. And the second question is from Dan. How is this different from what marketing automation tools can do with nurture campaigns?
Great. So this is Justin. I'll go ahead and take that. Essentially, all of our customers are using some form of marketing automation in conjunction with Folloze. The reason why Folloze is different is because we are focused on those marketing and sales collaborative efforts. So these are typically sales executed. They might be marketing driven. They created the content, but sales is actually executing that use case for use cases like I spoke of. Following up with prospects after you've had a sales meeting, or account coverage for customers that know you. So really sales type of use cases, whereas marketing automation is more top of the funnel. And like I said before, this is coming from your inbox as a salesperson, not through a proxy email address, which is a lot more seen as marketing and can be viewed as spammy. And then lastly, and almost most importantly, this is dropping you into a content experience. So you curated this content journey that's going to educate your prospect to want to become a customer. We're dropping them into this experience one piece at a time, and then they'll see that little preview item. They can move to the next item and view more of that content, and then have the option to raise their hand and show interest directly to their salesperson.
Yeah, and I would just maybe add another kind of dimension to it, which is essentially, in the past, there used to be a saying of we need to get to the prospects first to sell to them first. And I think the big transition is now we need to get to the prospects first, not to sell to them, to educate them first, to be the ones that educate them. If we'll be the first to educate them, we'll win them over time. And I think that's the whole philosophy of our platform, and specifically this feature is designed to be the first to educate and the best to educate our customers.
Great. I think that's all the questions. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who may have questions later on, please feel free to reach out and we will respond with answers to your questions. And again, thank you for participating today. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, David. And we hope to see everybody soon on our next webinar and hopefully our next feature that will be released soon. Everyone have a wonderful rest of the day and week, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Please stand by.